Jeff, good to see you again. Got a great topic today, and I think it's really important. As many sales professionals and sales leaders have mentors that they've benefited from, and frankly, that they continue to learn from throughout their journey. Wanted to task you with picking a particularly inspiring mentor or mentors. What have you learned from these folks, and how important have they been as a part of your journey?
Yeah, thanks, Carson. Good to see you again. Just got back from vacation, so back in the saddle here Monday morning. Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually go with an unconventional answer. It's not really a sales mentor per se, or not someone who explicitly was came into my life to teach me anything about sales, but it was my high school wrestling coach. His name was Steve Ward, and he was history teacher in my high school. He was my advisor, very close friend of mine. Way about a year and a half ago. So he's been, top of mind for me in terms of the impact he made on my life. And the reason I say that is because there were a lot of lessons that he taught me when I was young that stuck with me throughout my sales career. He was the type of person who, had a way of making people feel very relaxed and to take themselves a lot less seriously. And to give some context, the high school I went to it's a pretty good high school. It's like very high achieving. You know, a lot of the kids there were very smart and very bright and put a lot of pressure on themselves. I think like 20% of my class went like early decision to Harvard, right? So these are like really high strung kids. And wrestling is a tough sport too, right? I mean, it's you have this combination of like these high strung kids and this competitive sport. He had this way of like making you feel like if you were taking yourself too seriously, that was a problem. And he brought a lot of levity into a lot of things. To give you an example, if you were going to wrestle an opponent that was just vastly better than you, somebody who was going to kill you, he would call it a bag of sticks match, because snakes apparently, if they're trying to kill you, if you break a bag of sticks, they will think that they broke your bones and they will loosen their grip. So he would say, hey, bring a bag of sticks with you to the match as a joke, right? But this was like the type of thing where he was just being honest with you. And this was kind of his personality. He was a very authentic person. He kind of just told you how it was, right? He didn't like beat around the bush. And I remember when I wrote my book, 2.5 years ago, it's called Authentic Selling. He had read the book and he sent me this really long text message. And, all these years later, right? I mean, as an adult, he's still staying in touch. And I remember him saying that the book had made this impact on him. And it's why he felt that him and I had this close friendship, is because we had this dedication to authenticity. But in retrospect, when I think about the most authentic people I've ever met in my life, I think he's like the top of the list. And I think actually the reason that I value it so much in my life, and the reason that I wrote a book about it, is I may have not been conscious of this when I wrote the book, but I think that like in the back of my mind, it was there. And there's tons of examples I could give of all these things that he did, but um, he was just somebody who would make it fun, what you were doing. And that's something that I always appreciated. It's something that I try to bring into my work every single day. Just be honest with people, be authentic, and hope that it will come back in a positive way for me. So I learned that from him. So that's my story. Not a traditional sales mentor, but somebody who made a big impact in my life. So I want to kick it back to you and hear about yours. Who's
Yeah,
somebody who had a big impact for you?
I love that, Jeff. That's powerful. And sorry for your loss. I know that that's challenging to go through. I remember reading some of the blogs that you've published about this coach, and so now I know that he had a profound impact. I'm sure that it was very fulfilling for him as well to know that he had such an impact on you. It's so hard to pick just one in some ways, because there's a lot of great lessons that I've learned along the years that have been kind of peppered throughout. Some that I've talked about when we've gotten together. Winning the crowd, how to gain influence, or gain the right to influence. Your network is your net worth, controlling the controllables. But a lot of these have come from, mentors in the moment, maybe sales leaders, or, people that have had these one-hit wonders as these notes that have been super helpful. But, I gravitate toward one person that I had a pretty long and successful run working for, and she was actually one of my longest running managers. And so I think about her, and it was interesting because I was going through a challenging time. It was actually the time that I wrote the book Salesman on Fire about. I had come off a really challenging year, and had some decisions to make. Am I going to acknowledge that this isn't a fit for me, or am I going to move on? And wound up working for this person at the time as a skip level. I was just so motivated and energized by how they cared about people. And it's rare that you see that in a sales environment where it's genuine, where someone who genuinely cares about people and how to prioritize people and treating every customer that we work with as a partner or a potential partner and reaching out to them in that vein of partnership, how you treat your colleagues and how you truly seek to serve everyone that you touch. And that was just her MO. In fact, there was a couple of opportunities that I had. One, I got an offer that I couldn't refuse, to leave and to go work for another organization. And she fought to keep me. And literally within 24 hours, she said, "Give me 24 hours." And she came back and made this elaborate slideshow presentation on why she wanted me to stay. And it was unbelievable. And one of the biggest things about working for her was the putting personal first. Don't just jump into a business call and start talking about the business, talking about the numbers, talking about the results. That stuff's going to be there. But if you really focus on the whole person and, how is that person today? How's that person on your team? What's top of mind for them? Getting to know them on a personal level, as opposed to just focusing on the numbers, as many sales leaders do. If you focus on that, people will want to work for you. And I always felt that way about her, because she knew my family. She was asking about my kids. And, we developed a very strong relationship because of that. The last element was I asked her to challenge me. And she would always instill in me that what got me here, whatever here was at the time, because she promoted me 4 times during the time that I worked for her. But whatever got me here wasn't going to get me to the next level. So I could never just sit and rest on my laurels. I wanted her to continue to challenge me, sometimes give me that constructive criticism, that tough love that was going to make me better. And I always appreciated that. Even if I didn't like her sometimes in the moment when she was delivering the tough criticism, I needed it. And in looking back, it only served to make me better. So very grateful for her leadership. She knows who she is. And, just very glad that I had the opportunity. You don't often get a period of 6 years that you get to work for somebody in one way or another. And so very fortuitous that I was able to work for her for as long as I was. And I'm very grateful for that. So great question today, Jeff. And any final thoughts?
I love the fact that she made a presentation for you. I think that's like the first time I've ever heard something like that. But it actually, now when I hear it, it makes me like kind of surprised that other people don't go out of their way to do something like that. If you really value an employee, a lot of times you tell someone you're leaving, and it's kind of just like that's just the conversation. The fact that she went out of her way to like make a slide deck to explain why you should stay, that's a pretty powerful thing.
It was amazing. And in fact, she gave all of us on our team a bonsai tree. And so, the bonsai tree is a great emblem, notwithstanding the fact that it was prominently featured in the Karate Kid 3. But the reality of it is, it has strong root and grows in many different ways. And cultivating it and, shaping it is often a very has a lot of philosophical ties in how you can, as the same with us as people, how we can continue to grow. And, there are parts of us that change, et cetera. But it's important to keep strong roots, and got that right here in my office. So it's a constant reminder of those lessons.
Amazing. Yeah, I love the story.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for coming back today, and great to see you. And we'll see you again next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carson.